The Los Angeles Lakers' experience in the Walt Disney World Resort bubble in the summer of 2020 was a successful one in the NBA, as they ended up winning the NBA title that season. Along the way, certain players enjoyed smoking cannabis, at least according to J.R. Smith. "We was blowing it down there," Smith said when asked if players were getting high in Orlando. "That was the only way you could really function in that joint." Smith was in the bubble playing with the eventual champion Los Angeles Lakers. "It was cool. I'm glad it happened because it finally broke that barrier and that stigma that you couldn't play in all of this. It was a drug. It was this and that," he said of weed's effect on players' ability to hoop. "But when you go to the bubble and play some basketball, some of them dudes was granted, it was like practice games, and some of them really can't play that well in front of 30,000 fans. But at the same time, you saw some of the best level of basketball." This actually isn't hard to believe considering how the NBA decided to suspend its policy on randomly testing players for marijuana during the NBA bubble. Up until today, the league does not conduct random testing for this particular substance. It is worth noting that cannabis is legal in the state of California and many other states, but not in the state of Florida. JR went on to reveal that smoking helps some players tap into the mindset needed to reach their full potential on the court. J.R. Smith teamed up with the King LeBron James as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and together they brought the city its first NBA championship. LA picked up JR prior to the start of the play-in bubble in an attempt to replace Avery Bradley, who opted out of playing due to personal reasons. The Lakers had power to a hot start during the 2019-2020 season, and when the season was suspended in March due to COVID-19 pandemic, they had proven they were perhaps destined to win it all that season. Smith shot poorly during the 2020 playoffs, but he was a contributor to LA's championship team, and he retired shortly after winning the title. Laker fans can for sure appreciate that title more in the midst of one of the team's worst season this year. Now that JR confirmed it, I have to say it's the least surprising news of all time. What else were these guys going to do the whole time being trapped in Orlando? Especially when the league said they weren't going to test for it. That was the lock of the century. I can only imagine how awesome it must have been to go hoop for a few hours, come back to your room, roll a blunt, and just chill with your friends who also happen to be the best basketball players on the planet.